Welcome to my YouTube channel, Best English Trainer. In this video, we'll be discussing the one-word substitutes which were asked in multiple previous exams. Okay, now let's look into the first question. The branch of science related to study of birds. So we have four options over here. The first option is Calliologist. So what is this Calliologist? Whenever if you come across a word called as Callio, it's altogether the nest. Okay, so generally we know what is nest, right? A nest is a area or place where a bird resides or stays, right? Yes. Now, Calliologist is altogether a person who is well versed with the study of nest. Okay, so whenever if you come across a word called as IST, very simple, it is noun. So very simply, what we will see? We will see a word at the suffix. If it is ending with IST, the literal meaning of that is a person, and that would be altogether a noun. So Calliologist is altogether a person who is well versed with the study of the bird's nest. Next we have option B. Option B is zoologist. So generally we go to a zoo. So what is a zoo? Zoo is a place where different animals are kept. Now zoo is nothing but animals. Now what is zoologist? I said altogether IST is a person and zoologist is a person who is well versed with the study of animals. Okay, that's altogether a zoologist. We have option C, that's altogether biologist. Now what is this biologist? Bio. What is bio? Bio means the living things. Now what are the living things? Plants, animals, bacteria, fungus, all these are the living things. Is it true? Yes. Now, whatever the living things are there on this earth, we generally consider them under the biosphere. That means the living area of these living things. Okay. Now, I said biologist. Now, what is this biologist? Biologist is a person who is well versed with the study of the living things. That means in that living things, animals would come, birds would come, plants would come, bacteria, virus, everything would come. That's altogether the biologist, right? Now let's look into the option D. It's altogether ornithologist. Now who is an ornithologist? And whenever if you come across a word called as ornitho, the literal meaning would be altogether birds over here. So ornithologist is a person who is well versed with the study of birds. Right? Now, what is the final answer for this? The branch of science related to study of birds is option D. That's altogether ornithologist. Right. Now, let's look into the second question. A person who is unable to pay off his debts. So, a person who is unable to pay off his debts. Now, we have four options again here. Now, option A is beggar. Now, who is a beggar? A person who begs. So, option A is wrong answer. He has nothing, so he is begging there. So option A is wrong answer. Next we have miser. Who is a miser? Miser is a person who has great amount of money, but he never spends that money at all. Now that person is a miser. A miser is a person who never spends money for what? As a charity purpose or even for his great livelihood also sometimes. And that person we are calling him as a miser. Now option C, we have insolvent. Now what is this insolvent? So have you heard a word called as IP? A businessman has filed an IP. Now what is that IP? It's altogether insolvent petition. So insolvent petition is a petition which should be filed in the court by a person who is not in a position to pay off his debts. Now that person would go to a court and file a insolvent petition, and the judge would confirm whether really he is not in a position or not. And finally, if he is not in a position to pay off those debts, now the judge would give the IP form over there. That is altogether insolvent petition. Now, insolvent. Now, what is the question? A person who is unable to pay off his debts is nothing but option C. That's altogether insolvent over there. Now, we have the option 4. That's altogether spendthrift. Now, what is this spendthrift? A person who is in a position to spend good amount of money lavishly. There would be certain people who spends huge amount of money for lavish purposes and all, and that person we are generally calling him as what now? The spendthrift altogether. Option D. So finally, which is the right answer for this? Option C is right answer. That's altogether insolvent over there. Okay. Now let's look into the third question. Property inherited from father or ancestors. So if a person has received property from his parents or ancestors, or that's altogether the father and ancestors, what do we call him? We have four options over here. The first option is altogether patrimony. So patrimony, you know paternal, we know paternal, maternal, right? What is paternal? Paternal is altogether the father side. We have maternal. What is maternal? The mother side altogether. So paternal. So patrimony is the property inherited from father. So very simple. Patrimony is the property inherited from father. Next we have parsimony. What is parsimony? Parsimony is something same as that of a miser. A person who has great amount of wealth but he is not in a position to spend that. A miser. So parsimony can be very simple. A miser. Now next we have option C, that's altogether pension. So what is pension? Pension is something we get monthly once. So if you join into some scheme, over a period of time, if you pay certain amount and after 60 years you get that amount in installments, monthly some amount, that's altogether we know the pension. Okay. Now next we have alimony. So what is alimony? Alimony is altogether if a husband is giving divorce to his wife, at that point of time there would be a final financial settlement given to the wife. And that final financial settlement being given to the wife is called as the alimony over there. And finally, what is the question? Property inherited from father or ancestors. So finally, option A is right answer. Okay, right. Let's look into the fourth question. Living for years and years. So what is this living for years and years? We have four options here again. We have the first word called as perennial. Next we have annual, continuous and permanent. So out of these four answers, which is the right answer? It's altogether option A. So why option A is right answer? Let's understand. For example, if you see certain plans are annual plans, biennial plans and perennial plans. Perennial plans means the plans which would stay for years together, some hundreds of years, and that we are calling with what name? Perennial plans. And there are certain plans which would die within 1 year of time. They would grow, give seeds, give fruits and die within 1 year of time, and that we are calling with what name? Annual plans. Now next we have continuous. If something is continuous, we are calling it as continuous. Next we have permanent. For example, I said a permanent marker. Now do you think marker is a living thing? No. Marker is not a living thing. But what they are asking? Living for years and years. So something that should be living for years and years. Now what is the answer? Right answer? It's altogether perennial. Perennial is living for years and years. That's altogether everlasting. And especially we use for living only. For example, marker is, do you think it is a living? No. Okay. So finally what is the answer? Option A is right answer over there.